In this video, we will talk in details about the main hitchhiking rules, and you will learn what you should do to minimize your waiting time on the road. Hi guys, my name is Anna. I traveled a lot around Turkey in the past several months, and most of the time I hitchhiked. I tried hitchhiking for the first time last year, and at the beginning I did it only if I was together with someone from my friends, but later on I started hitchhiking on my own, and I hitchhiked alone for more than 5,000 kilometers. By the way, I never had any bad experience while hitchhiking, so let's start. First of all, of course, plan your trip. Check the distance to the city where you want to go and start your trip according to that. I always prefer to travel during the daytime. Though a couple of times I had to hitchhike when it got dark and it was okay, but still at night, drivers cannot see you very well. It's less likely that they will pick up someone on the road, and also I believe that it is much safer to travel at daylight. So, if the city you are heading to is quite far, it is better to start hitchhiking early in the morning, because you will never know how long you will wait. Maybe you will find a car that goes to your direction but from a longer road. Maybe you will spend time for lunch, so it's better to be on the road earlier. Maximum I hitchhiked 550 kilometers in one day, but usually I prefer not to travel long distances at a time. I prefer going to neighboring cities where the road takes from 2 to 4 hours. Also make sure that you dress appropriately. If you are a woman, don't dress provocatively. I would recommend not to wear shorts or short skirts and open tops. Even if the weather is hot, I wear a t-shirt and some light pants. And for men, their looks are very important. They say that the longer your beard is, the longer you have to wait on the road, so you might consider shaving before your trip. It's better to look clean, neat and well kept. If you look respectable, the chances of being picked up are much greater than if you look sloppy and disarrayed. And please take a shower before the road, it's not cool to be smelly. Also make sure that you will be comfortable both in your clothes and with your bags. Try not to take too many things to your trip. Be ready that probably there will be some distances that you will need to walk. It can be that some car will take you part of the way and then will drop you before a huge road intersection where cars go to different directions, and you will need to walk across quite a big distance to find a good spot to hitchhike in the direction that you need. Many people prefer traveling with a huge backpack. They say it's more comfortable to walk like that, but I do not like carrying heavy stuff on me, so I travel with a small suitcase and a small backpack. I know that this is really not common for hitchhikers, but I'm more comfortable this way. Often when cars stopped, people were asking me if I was a student going to my parents for a holiday, or they asked if I missed my bus. You know, I never had to wait for a long time for a car to stop. Usually it's less than 5 minutes, sometimes up to 10 minutes, or if the road is quite busy. And several times I had to wait a little longer, but those were not popular roads where there were almost no cars. So there are advantages when you're a girl. Usually you do not wait long. I have a friend, a traveler, a backpacker and hitchhiker. He's a big 100-kilo guy. We traveled and hitchhiked together for around 1 week, and he was delighted. He was like, when I'm alone, usually I have to wait for half an hour or 1 hour for a car to stop, and once I waited for 6 hours and nobody wanted to pick me up. But with you, it's just 5 or 10 minutes. Or sometimes we didn't have to wait at all, the very first car would stop. So maybe you can consider traveling with a friend. If you are a man, traveling with a female friend most likely will be much faster. And if you are a girl, probably you will feel more confident and safe if you are not alone. I hitchhiked a lot with my friends too. Maximum we were 4 people, 3 girls and a boy, and still we didn't wait long. Though it's more difficult to hitchhike when you are more crowded. as there might not be enough space in the cars and some drivers can be scared to pick up such a crowd. Okay, after you plan your trip, it is important to choose a good spot for hitchhiking. First of all, you need to go to the edge of the city in the direction where you are planning to go. Because most of the cars just move inside of the city and you need to make sure that you are at a spot where most of the cars are leaving the city already. In the city, I use public transportation. I find the right buses, checking the routes in Google Maps, or in some cities in Turkey where Google Maps were not showing public transportation options, I was using the application Move It. You choose there where you need to go in the city, and the application shows you different options of public transportation. In some cities, it wasn't possible to pay with bank card or cash on the buses. You need to have a special city transportation card where you need to upload money in advance. Then I just asked some other passengers to scan their card for me and I give them cash. Also, it's best to hitchhike at a spot where cars go slow, and the slower cars have to go, the better. It gives them enough time to check you out, maybe discuss it with their wife, and finally decide to pick you up. It's good to hitchhike right after the traffic lights, as the cars that will stop there will have enough time to evaluate you. So, the best spot will be at the edge of the city just before the cars begin to accelerate. Also, always pick a spot where a car can easily pull aside without creating a traffic jam. Nobody wants to get into an accident just to pick you up, so make sure that there is plenty of space for a car to pull aside. Also make sure that you are clearly visible, that you are not standing behind some road signs, for example. And if you wish, you can wear clothes of bright colors so that drivers notice you right away. After you picked a good spot, what you do is you stand at the edge of the road with your back facing the direction of your travel and extend your arm toward the road with the thumb pointing upward. And wait until someone stops. You need to know that when you hitchhike, time seems to move very slowly. You might wait for 10 minutes and it will feel like an hour. And sometimes you can really wait for an hour, so be patient and be ready to wait for a while. But don't get discouraged, someone will pick you up. It's better if you look happy, energetic, like you are having fun. Even if you're already waiting for a long time, remember that this is your choice. If you are in a group with your friends, you can even dance. One reason people pick up hitchhikers is because they want some company, some nice conversations. Nobody would really like to chat with some gloomy person, so smile, maybe wave and look cheery. You can also make a sign on which you can write the city where you want to go. I never made one myself, but it can be useful if, for example, a few kilometers down the road splits into two equally popular directions, or if there is a major junction. It can also be helpful if you do not know the local language and have some difficulties with communication. Your sign will tell the drivers passing by exactly where you want to go, and they'll know right away if it's on their route or not. The bad side of signs is that some people, even if they go in the right direction, but let's say halfway, might think that they shouldn't pick you up as they do not go to your final destination. Many people do not understand that you don't need to go to your destination in one single ride. I heard from one hitchhiker that when asking for a ride, you can also offer the driver to share the gas costs. He said that in some countries it is normal that hitchhikers pay. But I personally never offered money, and for me it doesn't make any sense. Because for money I can just buy a bus ticket or use BlaBlaCar application. I do not see a point in hitchhiking then. People do it not to spend money. After someone agrees to give you a ride, I would recommend you to sit in the front seat if it is empty. There should be some etiquette with the drivers. If you sit at the back, it will look as if you are using them as a taxi. It is nice to keep up a good conversation with the driver. Maybe you can say your name first and ask their name so that they see that you are a nice and friendly person. If you can speak with the same language with the driver, it is good maybe to start some casual conversation. Drivers often pick up people to make their rides more interesting. They are doing you a favor by picking you up, and you can return the favor by keeping them engaged. You can ask some simple classic questions like, what kind of work do you do? Where are you going? Have you ever hitchhiked yourself? And so on. But still, do not think that you have to entertain your driver all the time. When I just started hitchhiking, I kind of felt obliged to do so, but with time I became more relaxed. I look at the driver's reaction. If they are talkative, I keep the conversation up. If they give some short answers or mostly keep quiet, I do not talk much neither. I just relax, look outside of the window, or check some things on my phone. So, see according to the situation, but always be friendly. Also, when hitchhiking, I always keep Google Maps open, and when in the car from time to time, I check that we are going in the right direction. If a driver says that he will take you to the city you are heading to, then when you are already approaching, I would recommend you to ask them where exactly in the city they will go, or if they are just passing the city, which road they will use. Then I see if they are going to pass the location I need to go to or not. Usually I ask them to drop me in a convenient place for them that will be on their way, but that will also be closest to my destination. Usually drivers ask me to show on the map where exactly I need to go in the city, and quite often, if they are not in a rush, they say that they can bring me right there, even if it's a little bit off their route. And if they don't bring me to the necessary address, I just figure out then how to get there using the public transportation. I personally never ask drivers myself to drop me at my place, but maybe you can do so if you feel that you have been good company and that you build some good connection with them. If a driver says that he can give you a ride for a part of your way, then make sure that he will drop you at a place suitable to continue hitchhiking. Make sure that the driver doesn't leave you somewhere in the center of a city, because then to get to a spot good for hitchhiking, you will either have to walk a long distance or even get on a bus. Ideal will be if you get dropped off on the city outskirts on the road where there are a lot of cars going out of the city in the direction that you need. And do not trust drivers if they say that they know a great place to hitchhike and that they will drop you there. Very often drivers do not understand the basics of hitchhiking and can leave you at a place really not appropriate for hitchhiking. Politely ask them all the details about the spot where they are going to drop you. Maybe you can explain them what spot would be ideal for you and make sure that they understand it clearly. I want to mention one more thing. Sometimes, if you need to travel a long distance, taking the highway will most likely shorten your travel time, and sometimes there is no other option. You need to know that in most Western countries, hitchhiking directly on the highway is forbidden. Remember that it is very unsafe for the driver to stop on the highway and that your own safety is also in danger. And if the police see you, they might force you to leave the area or even fine you. So, it is possible to hitchhike at the entrances to the highway, or you can just hop from one service area to another. There you can also directly speak with the drivers at the petrol stations when they refuel their cars and ask them for a ride. I never did it myself, and for some hitchhikers it is difficult to approach and speak with an unknown person, but if you are a sociable and brave person and if you like the idea, you can try it. This way probably you will be able to find the ride faster. By the way, my next video will be about safety precautions while hitchhiking. Make sure that you do not miss it, especially if you are a solo female traveler. You know, I'm so used to hitchhiking. I hitchhike to reach some historical or natural places, alone or with my friends, and when traveling between cities. I met a lot of interesting and kind people, and very often they were asking if I was hungry and offered me meals or coffee. Hitchhiking is definitely a great way to travel on a budget. I traveled all around Turkey without spending any money on transportation and accommodation. as I was hitchhiking between cities, and in the cities I stayed with couchsurfing hosts, which is an amazing experience, and at the same time free accommodation. I also made a series of videos about couchsurfing, so if you are interested in learning more about it, I will leave the link to the playlist here and in the description below. Okay, that's all for today. I hope that this video was useful. Thank you for watching it. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.